Number 10. Jokes gone too far. It can be scary going out in public sometimes, especially as a young woman. Sadly, it's not uncommon for women and even some men to get harassed in public over their appearance or clothes. In an ideal world, people would mind their own businesses and everyone would be happy, but this world isn't perfect. In September 2020, a 30-year-old woman named Amanda Nunes was just grabbing some breakfast one day at a food stand in Belfort, Roxo Rio, when she overheard some guys calling her fat. From the photos on her social media accounts, almost anyone would take one look and realize how beautiful she was. Knowing her worth, Amanda stood up for herself and just didn't stand there to take the insult. She started arguing with the man and things escalated. The aggressor reached into his pocket and pulled out a gun. He stared Amanda down before pulling the trigger right in her face. Medics quickly arrived and took the woman to a nearby hospital where she died later that day in the doctor's care. After the news of her death broke out, Amanda's family and friends expressed their heartbreak, wondering how another human being could be so cruel. They also called the shooter a coward for acting this way. It's sad that Amanda's life was taken so soon just because she stood up to harassment. Number 9. Tinder affair. Robert Feldman, a married man, had been using the app Tinder to talk to women other than his wife Stacy. He went as far as meeting up with one of the other women and cheating on his wife. Stacy found out about the affair and confronted her husband over it. The woman Robert had been cheating with contacted Stacy asking if she and Robert were actually divorced like she'd been told. Obviously, she wanted an actual divorce after finding out her husband had been unfaithful, but that didn't sit well with Robert. On October 1st, 2015, Stacy was found dead in her bathtub as the water continued to run on her body. When authorities arrived, Robert wasn't very helpful, saying she probably died after taking a marijuana edible. But a few years later, after a long investigation, a doctor with expertise in domestic violence injuries looked at photos of Stacy's body. They reported that she had to have died after an intense beating or being suffocated. After this, Robert was arrested and taken to court. The 59-year-old man was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of the murder of his wife. Stacy's mother told reporters her disappointment in him, calling Robert evil, saying, quote, "If you really loved your children, you wouldn't have killed their mother," end quote. He must have been a truly evil man to kill someone even though he was the one who cheated in the first place. The world can be a cruel place. Number 8. Going down. In January 2021, in a building on West 150th Street, Manhattan, a fight broke out in an elevator. 19-year-old Musa Cease confronted a couple who he claims were blocking him from getting on the elevator. They argued until the boyfriend punched Cease in the face, but little did he know, Cease had a gun on him. He pulled it out and immediately started shooting at the two. The girlfriend, 29-year-old Shadina Smith, was hit, taken to the hospital later, and died that day. During the investigation, police say Cease didn't even live in the building where the incident took place, so they had no clue why he was there. It took 10 long months of searching to find the young man since he escaped after the shooting. It was only after police received a report of a stolen SUV that they had found him sleeping in the car. He was taken into custody and his fingerprints linked him to the fatal shooting. The teen now faces a slew of charges for making a split decision that may be life-changing. Number 7. Homeless attack. At a homeless encampment in Seattle, Washington in 2021, a simple fight turned into a deadly affair as tempers quickly rose. A video that surfaced online showed a couple drive their car into the camp and then get attacked by multiple people who live there. The couple had gone there to try and find some items that had been stolen from them in a recent burglary. By using a Bluetooth tracker, they traced the location to the camp so they could confront the thief. As they got the goods and took them back to their vehicle, they found themselves surrounded by vagrants. The man was hit with a giant wooden pole while his windows were smashed. Others in the homeless encampment joined in on the fight, throwing rocks and sticks and getting into it with the girlfriend. As the couple fought to get back to their car and out of the situation, they sped out of the camp, hitting a man on the way. The man died, but it's unlikely the couple will be charged with any crime since they were the ones originally attacked. It's a sad situation that should have been handled with police intervention. Number 6. Held accountable. While waiting at an airport terminal in 2021, a man had apparently been secretly taking photos of a woman and her girlfriend. One of these women was a popular OnlyFans star, Bailey, who had also had a TikTok account with over 180,000 followers. The girls were told by another bystander at the airport that the man had taken some photos, so, obviously uncomfortable with this, the two confronted him. They told him how weird and disrespectful it is to take pictures of random women without permission. They also told him to show them his camera's gallery to prove if he had any photos. After getting confronted so bluntly, the man held tight onto his phone. He was also wearing a wedding ring, so Bailey asked nearby airport goers if anyone recognized him. No one responded though, and after some time and a claim that his camera didn't even work, he showed them the pictures. There were 5 photos of Bailey and her girlfriend. She made sure he deleted them for good, then gave him more grief for his actions, saying what he did was extremely creepy and they felt violated. People online applauded the women's bravery for standing up for themselves. Have you ever caught someone taking photos of you without your permission? What did you do? Tell us in the comments and hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 5. Catcalling. A 51-year-old man named Gladstone Burnett and a woman named Eileen Forrester were both charged with assault after getting into a physical altercation. The story goes like this. On May 28, 2008, Burnett was at Eileen's neighbor's house drinking with his friend. The two older men would sit in the backyard trying to get Eileen's daughter's attention. But here's the extra creepy part. Her daughter was only 12 years old. Burnett and his buddy tried to get the child's attention through catcalls, which are usually sexual in nature, which is downright disgusting if you ask us. This wasn't just a one-time situation either. According to Eileen, she had reported the men to police multiple times, but they never did anything to stop the harassment. So, she took matters into her own hands and stood up for her daughter. When she talked to Burnett about the issue, he began to spout verbal abuse at her and got aggressively close to her face until his fingers hit her forehead. At this point, Eileen was done. She hit him 3 times with an umbrella. In court, the magistrate took Eileen's side. Burnett got off easy though with only a $15,000 bail. If you ask us, he should be locked up for catcalling a child. Number 4. Vegas shoplifter. Working in a retail environment can be interesting to say the least. Customers can either be angelic or downright demonic depending on the day, and it's hard to gauge how things will go at the start of a shift. Dealing with shoplifters is another story though. Depending on the store, sometimes workers aren't allowed to intervene if a theft is happening. Unfortunately for 2 security guards at world's largest gift shop in Las Vegas, they did try and stop a thief. A woman named Mercedes Cage had left the store with a sweater in hand that she didn't pay for. The guards, Adolfo Rivera and Juan Hernandez, stopped her in the parking lot. That's when Miss Cage took out a gun and fired it at the men. Rivera was hit while Hernandez pursued the woman as she tried to get away. Luckily, he was able to get her to the ground, but in a struggle between the two, she accidentally fired another shot that hit her in the armpit. While Rivera went to the hospital to get his injuries treated, Cage was arrested and taken to jail. She now faces charges of attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. Number 3. Planked. It's pretty satisfying to witness someone experience karma firsthand. In 2021, a video surfaced online coming out of Queensland that showed a thief instantly getting what he deserved. The CCTV footage showed the backyard of a couple's home. Suddenly, the homeowner, Terry Dennehy, runs into view to confront the thief. Then, shortly after, a truck swerves into the yard. Terry jumps to the left side of the vehicle, wrestling with the driver as the vehicle swerves. Dee Arias, Terry's wife, then runs over to the truck with her dog at her side and a giant wooden plank in her hands. While Terry was holding the car thief's neck, she hit him with the wooden plank. The robber was able to get free though. After getting struck several times, he just ran away. After the video got more attention, news outlets interviewed the couple. It isn't clear if the suspect was ever caught or charged with anything, but Terry told interviewers, quote, "No one's taking my ute, that's mine," end quote. So, at the very least, any future thieves know not to mess with Dee and Terry unless they want a wooden plank to the face. Number 2. Cruise fight. In June 2022, around 2 a.m., a fight broke out in the nightclub of Carnival Magic cruise ship that was heading towards New York City. Apparently, multiple angry couples were accusing their significant others of cheating on the 7 seas. The confrontation started to get physical when people started shoving, and beer bottles were smashed, and things got crazy. A witness to the scene said a woman even got sliced by one of the broken bottles. Thankfully, the onboard security team broke things up, but onlookers said almost 60 people got involved in the tussle at one point that had gone on for nearly an hour. The Coast Guard was even called to get things under control. No one was seriously hurt, but that must have been a heck of a fight to see. Number 1. Masks. We've all seen crazy stories come out after the beginning of COVID in March 2020 with masks, social distancing, toilet paper, and more. One man in Florida took things a bit too far, though, in August of last year. Dan Bauman, a father of a 10th grade student, was arrested after assaulting a young girl still in high school. The child apparently confronted Dan, asking him to put on a mask since it was still the school district's rule at the time. He twisted the girl's arm and pushed her in the shoulder. This wasn't the only case of Dan being asked to wear a mask. 4 times in that school year alone, he had been turned away and not allowed within the school for not following rules. But after putting his hands on a child who was just trying to follow the guidelines and keep people healthy, Dan was charged with child abuse. Whatever your personal beliefs are, we're all sure we can agree that Dan took things too far. Thanks for watching. Have you ever been confronted about something controversial that you said or did? Tell us about it in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on The Bad Badger.